Hi everybody, welcome back to Sunshine Soap and Candle Company. I've been getting a lot of requests over the last month or so to share with you how to make a liquid goat milk soap. So this took a lot of practice and research, and I've tried several different methods, and I finally have a formula that I'm ready to share with you. In this video today, I'm going to be taking you through my full visual step-by-step process and tutorial of how to make this beautiful liquid goat milk soap. I'm also going to be explaining to you some of the methods that I tried that didn't work and why they didn't work, and what may surprise you about the formula that I'm going to share with you today. If you would like the full written recipe with percentages and amounts so you can scale up or down as you like, plus a full written detailed step-by-step tutorial, please head on over to my Patreon campaign. I'll go ahead and place the link to my campaign in the description box below. This one will be at the $7 level. Signing up at the $7 level not only will gain you access to today's formula, but will gain you access to every formula and every post that I ever published over there. And now there are over 600 of them for you to check out. If you haven't had a chance to check out my campaign yet, I really hope that you'll make 2025 your year to do so. We have so much to offer, and it's a great way to connect with me and other makers. We've built a wonderful community of makers over there. Upon sign up, we're still offering 3 coupon codes, one to makesy.com, one to onlinelabels.com, and one to Nature's Garden through the end of February. So I really hope that you'll go take advantage of that. It makes your sign up really well worth it. All right, let's get started. All right, so I have a combination of olive oil, sunflower oil, castor oil, and coconut oil in here melted down. It's sitting very close to about room temperature now. And then I have my potassium hydroxide and my frozen goat milk. So when I was researching this and learning how to formulate a liquid soap with goat milk, there wasn't a whole lot of information for me to go off of. A lot of this was trial and error, and I really didn't want to scorch the goat's milk. So I didn't want my temperatures to be too high. So this is a totally cold process formula. We're going to be keeping our temperatures down low, around 100 degrees when this heats up by itself, but we are not going to be applying any heat to this at all. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put on my gloves and my goggles. This is important. You don't want to burn your skin with the lye. So make sure you're wearing long sleeves, closed-toed shoes, long pants, goggles, and gloves. And then we're just going to start by combining my potassium hydroxide lye with my frozen goat milk. And we're going to continue pouring in little bits of lye and combining it with the frozen goat milk. It will melt the goat's milk as it heats. This is just organic, full-fat goat milk. And goat milks are popular because they contain alpha hydroxy acids, which are great for a gentle exfoliation. And goat milk is actually also very good for sensitive skin. This is very mild and gentle. So my ice cubes are starting to melt down some. I'll bring you back when it is all melted down. All right, so my goat's milk is now all completely melted down, and the lye is completely dissolved in the goat's milk. This is going to be the full liquid for this formula. We're not adding any water until the dilution phase. So we're going to essentially be making a soap paste with goat milk, lye, and oils. So now it's time to go ahead and combine our potassium hydroxide solution with our oils. This is very cold, about 34 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to go ahead and use an immersion blender and get this going. And right away you can see it starting to emulsify and turn into soap batter. I'm going to give this a little stir by hand. And then I'm going to come in with my stick blender. Now, this takes quite a bit of stick blending, and I'll take you through that process here. So this is going to go through several phases of trace, and I'll try to show you the different phases as I get to them, because this is going to take patience, being that we're doing a totally cold process. We're not using any heat to speed up trace because I didn't want to scorch the goat's milk. So the goal with this is to stick blend it until you get a thick enough trace that you can no longer stick blend, but also you can tell by the way it looks when it's done, and I'll take you through that process. So right now we're just at a light emulsification, and I'll bring you back when we've reached the next phase. All right, so we've been stick blending for several minutes now, and as you can see, we're just at a super light trace still. So it's okay to go ahead and give your stick blender a break. Nothing's gonna happen if you stop stick blending. You're gonna get some separation of the oils in the lye, and then you just come back in with your stick blender and keep blending it back up, and eventually you will get what you want. So I just wanted to show you, this is the phase we're at now. I'm giving my stick blender a little bit of a break, and I'll bring you back at the next phase. All right, so after several breaks and coming in and out with the stick blender, we have reached a little bit thicker of a trace here, but it's not done yet, so I'll bring you back to share with you the next phase. All right, we are now sitting at a very thick trace, and it's starting to change a little bit in texture, and I wanted to show you this part because this is part of the process, and you definitely want to get to this point before you stop stick blending. So it's going to start to look like mashed potatoes when you're blending it after a long time. The soap will start to heat up and get thicker, and then it's going to start to look like mashed potatoes in texture and consistency. So you're just going to want to blend through this until your soap becomes glossy and shiny and thick. And you can hear now my stick blender is having a hard time getting through this phase as it's starting to get very thick. So just blend until that texture changes to a shiny looking thick paste. All right, and we are done with the stick blender. We're going to go ahead and just scrape off the extra soap here. As you can see, we've got kind of a shiny looking thick texture here going on, and this soap now is ready. This batter is now ready to just get covered up, and you're going to allow it to set up and cure just like you would any cold processed soap, like a cold processed soap loaf when you're making solid bar soap. This is the same thing. So what you're going to do in this method is you're going to go ahead and just cover it up, and you're going to allow it to set up overnight essentially, or up to 24 hours. And I'm going to show you what that looks like when it's all set up. I have a batch that's done, and it changes significantly in color and texture once it sets all the way up. So this one we're going to set aside and allow to cure. And then this is what it looks like after about 24 hours. So it looks like a beautiful amber colored soap paste. And you don't have to apply any heat to this. The soap itself heats up a little bit during the saponification process, only to about 100 degrees if you start with your temperatures low. So after 24 hours, this is what it looks like, and you have a neutral goat milk soap paste to then turn into liquid soap. So you can heat this. You guys have seen a lot of videos of mine where I make a hot process liquid soap from scratch, where I cook everything in a crock pot on high temperatures. You can do that with the goat's milk soap, but I was having a real problem with the fact that I felt like I was going to scorch my goat's milk, and I was really trying to avoid that. So you can make this totally cold process just like this. And actually, I think the color turns out a bit nicer when you don't heat it. When you heat it, it does kind of scorch the milk and turns this to a dark, dark brown color. And this one is just a beautiful kind of amber caramel color. So next we're going to go ahead and dilute a little bit of this to make liquid soap. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dilute down enough to make about 300 grams of liquid soap. So for this soap paste, this particular soap paste, I like to do 1 part soap to 3 parts distilled water. You can play around with your ratios. There's no exact science to how much or how little to dilute it. However, if you don't add enough water, then your soap will just be too thick. It'll turn into just like a thick, goopy gel instead of a liquid soap. So some of the other methods I tried here, first I just tried to take some existing soap paste like this, but soap paste that was made with water. So in some of my experimenting and getting to this final process, I tried just diluting down the soap paste with goat milk instead of water. And that seemed to work initially, but then after about a couple hours went by after I diluted it down, and then the goat milk and the soap separated and it wouldn't stay homogeneous. So that method does not work, in case you're wondering. And then also I tried to add goat milk, a percentage of goat milk, into an already liquid soap. So once this was all diluted down, I tried to just add a percentage of the water as goat's milk, and that seemed to work okay, except it seemed to me that there was just, it had an off smell and it looked very milky, and it took away from the lather a little bit. I just didn't like the result, and I actually don't know how that would have stood up over time, because I just didn't keep that formula hanging around. And then I also tried a dual lye hybrid. That one did work. I'll show you that one in just a little bit. A dual lye hybrid with goat milk as part of the paste. That one did set up. I'll show you that one in just a little bit. But so all we're going to do now is just allow this to dilute, and this will take a long time because my water's cold. So I'm just going to cover it up and allow it to dilute down. So I already have one pre-diluted here to show you. Now a goat's milk soap like this, liquid soap, will not get crystal clear just because there's some extra fats in here from the goat milk. So this is the color it is right now. This is just a little 100 grams of liquid goat milk soap, totally homogeneous, has a good soapy smell to it. So what we're going to do with this little 100 gram batch here is I'm going to go ahead and show you how to scent it and thicken it up, and then I'll show you a little lather test. Okay, so we're going to start by adding in a little bit of glycerin. Now this is going to be a little bit darker, that's just the nature of the goat milk soap. It's going to lighten up a little bit when I add my glycerin, but not by much. We might get a little bit more clarity as well to this soap as the days go by, but it's never going to be a totally clear soap. In fact, my dual hybrid lye one turned out a lighter color, but it's more cloudy than this one. So I'll show you that one as well. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you would also like to see. The dual hybrid lye goat milk. So we just added in a little bit of glycerin. Glycerin's going to help a little bit with the bubbles and lather, just with the stability of the bubbles and lather. and it may help a little bit with the clarity. Probably not very much. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and add in some essential oils. I've decided today on a blend of rosemary and mint essential oils. And we're just going to weigh it off here. I really love the combination of rosemary and mint. It's just very invigorating. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and just combine this. Always add your fragrance or essential oil in before you thicken up your formula, because fragrance and essential oil can cause your soap to go thick. And if you've already thickened it up, it can go too thick, or it can cause it to go water thin. And if you've already thickened it up and then you add in your fragrance or essential oil, it'll go thin again. So always add your fragrance or essential oil first before you thicken it up. So it did lighten up a little bit in color as we've diluted a little bit more with the oil and glycerin. And now we're just going to go ahead and thicken this up to a nice body wash consistency. Okay, so what I have here is just a 20% salt water solution, and all I'm going to do is use a pipette here to slowly start thickening up the soap. I'm going to start by just adding a little bit and then giving it a stir. And the salt water solution should be perfectly fine for thickening this type of formula up. So what we have right now is an all-natural soap because we're thickening it with salt water, and we are using essential oils for the fragrance. So already I'm noticing the viscosity is starting to change a little bit. So I'm going to continue my additions of this until I get viscosity close to a body wash, or similar to a body wash type consistency. I'll bring you right back. All right, so I've brought this up to the consistency that I like here with just a few more pipettes of 20% saltwater solution, and this to come up to this beautiful kind of golden color. Let me show you the viscosity. We've got the viscosity of kind of like a honey. So I'm going to pour it into this little glass container just so I can watch and see how it changes over time, over a few days, and then a week and a few weeks, just to see if it gets any more clear over time. I don't think it's going to get much clearer. And then I'm going to save a little bit to share with you a lather demo. Okay, so let's go ahead and test the lather here. So one of the reasons I went with the KOH cold process method is soap made with KOH is going to have a better lather than a dual hybrid lye soap. And KOH to me is just a bit superior in the liquid soap making than using a combination of sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide. So this has a really nice creamy lather, and look at that. It feels very soft, conditioning, emollient, and that lather will continue to get better over about a week's time, but already that's very, very lovely. Feels really good. Smells amazing. So very, very pleased with how this turned out, and I'm excited to share it with you all. But I wanted to show you real quick the one that I made with both sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide. This is how it turned out. It's kind of hard to see because this is an opaque container, and this one, this is some diluted down soap ready to get thickened up. I just need to thicken this one up and put in the additives, but as you can see, it's a little more opaque than this one. This one's probably going to clear up a little bit more. I like the more clear look a little bit better than this look. It's very opaque and milky looking. This one has been thickened and fragrance oil has been added, and I had to use a little bit of glucose D because this has high coconut oil content in it. But the reason I used a lot of coconut oil in this one is because I wanted to combat the low lather. I wanted to try to add some high foaming oils like coconut oil. So coconut oil has a hard time thickening up with salt. It just won't do it. So I had to use glucose D to thicken this one up, and I'll show you what the lather on this one looks like. It's just not as good in my opinion. I'll add a little bit more there. It's just not as good as the one made with straight KOH. It's just a lot lower. There's more floating oils, or not floating oils, I should say. There's more floating kind of fat content in the dual lye soap because of the goat's milk. And that's just the nature of it. It just has a lower, creamier lather. So let me know if you want to see that type. I can show you what the paste looks like. So the paste for the dual lye turns out looking like this. Looks like kind of like cookie dough before you dilute it down, versus this one made with KOH, same cold process method. So let me know if you want to see that below in the comments, and we'll see if we can make a video on that. That's it, everybody. That's how you make a liquid goat milk soap from scratch. I hope you really liked this video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Please leave me some comments and questions below. That really means a lot to me. Share this video with a friend, and why not subscribe to my channel? All right, everyone. Catch you on the next video. Bye. Keep shining.